The social media is abuzz with. We'll talk about all of that. At the moment, we've got plenty of topics to discuss over here. We've got the Manipur, where looted arms has become a huge worry. Right here on the front page, I'm looking at the Home Minister's reaction on the SC ruling on ED chief's extension, which the Supreme Court says that is illegal. And now the process of electing the next ED boss is going to gather pace. The Trinamool Congress in West Bengal's Panchayat polls and Mamata Banerjee's sweeping victory. What does this mean for Mamata Banerjee? How is she going to posture herself essentially ahead of 2024? That's something that we're going to look at. 28% GST, ladies and gentlemen, on gaming, casinos and horse racing. Many of you are going to be interested in that, certainly. And of course, a lot of other topics to talk about. 415 million people who exited poverty in India in the last 15 years, this by a global index. Essentially, lots to speak about. What do you want to begin with first, Varghese?
Well, I think first we should start with Amit Shah's reaction to the SC ruling on ED's tenure. Well, yeah. And I think all the papers have covered it, and I've spoken about it in length. And the reaction is very interesting because here Amit Shah makes it very clear when it comes to the SC ruling on the entire ED tenure issue. Because what the SC essentially said, that it goes to some of the 2021 judgment it had put in, and therefore the extension has been considered to be illegal. But for me, what caught the eye in this entire controversy, it's all about how Amit Shah was in fact speaking about some of these statements that have been coming from him. He said, now I'm taking the Hindustan Times, Kabir, let me start with that. What it says is this: chief not important work is what Shah has said. Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Tuesday said that the opposition leaders rejoicing at the Supreme Court verdict.
The ED chief's extension, Varghese, the ED chief's extension is illegal, but he can stay till the 31st of July, is what the SC says. Court upholds amendments giving up to 5 years to the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI heads. Now, the term was supposed to end on the 18th of November. Now, you're saying that Amit Shah is talking about how the work is important and not the tenure of the ED chief. But Amit Shah has also said that those rejoicing should not be so happy because the work against corruption is going to continue.
Yeah, that's what he's, and he went on to say that the opposition leaders rejoicing at the Supreme Court verdict on extension to Enforcement Directorate Chief Sanjay Mishra were being delusional for various reasons. The amendments to the CVC Act, which was duly passed by the Parliament, have been upheld. Powers of the ED to strike or remain the same, is what Shah has tweeted. So, the Home Minister has also said that ED is an institution which rises beyond any one individual and is focused on achieving its core objective to investigate offences of money laundering and violation of foreign exchange laws. Thus, who the ED director is, that is not important, because whoever assumes this role will take note of the rampant corruption of Kosi Club of entitled diners who have an anti-development mindset. So, multiple strikes over here that we are looking at. Now, a lot of the opposition leaders had in fact said that some of the extensions could be considered as illegal. They have also said that the ED was being used only against them, and they had approached the court on that also. Now, here it is politics and also, what I would call as a background motivation as well, where to say that we will in fact continue with what we are doing. And the words that he uses is very interesting. He says, thus who the ED director is not important, because whoever assumes that role will take note of the rampant corruption of a Kosi Club of entitled diners. So, which means, the ED has been raiding a lot of regional parties and their leaders.
Right.
Who have been
the opposition clearly miffed with that. The opposition clearly thinks that this is some sort of overreach of powers of by the Home Minister and the central agencies. But then again, who the ED director is, that is not important, because whoever assumes the role is going to take note of the corruption. This club of entitled diners, grafted by Kosi Club of entitled diners, is going to continue to be under the lens. But Varghese, the bigger question now is,
who next?
Who next?
Yes,
the process to select the next enforcement directorate boss is now going to gather speed. The SC has set July 31st, which is the end of this month, as the date for Sanjay Mishra to to demit office. The government faces the tough task of quickly finalizing its choice for the post, which had acquired an unprecedented aura under him to become synonymous with the Modi government's anti-corruption plank. So who after S.K. Mishra? That's going to be a big question.
No, also, Kabir, when we see this issue about the ED, we must understand that politicization of ED has been there because, you know, the people who have been targeted by the ED or the raids have been conducted by the ED were people from big political, families and the established leaders as well. So the opposition has always been saying that ED is weaponized, and they have been putting out the argument saying that, look, so many raids have happened. What is the conviction rate? And we did see that, I am not able to recall the statistics right now, but the conviction rate was actually poor. But the fact remains is that investigations do continue, and most of them were kept on their toes when the investigations were continuing. So the big question that they've been asking on this is why is it that the ED being weaponized? But remember, during the time of the Congress, one of the chief agencies that were used for investigation, and everybody used to nickname it as the Congress Bureau of Investigation at a time. There was a CBI. There was a CBI thing that was put on a lot of opposition leaders, and now the Enforcement Directorate has got that order under the BJP as well. And of course, right now the big question is who's going to replace
it says Mishra. Here the replacement will be helped by the presence of seasoned investigators like Sonia Narang, IPS 2002 batch, Satyabrat Kumar, IRS 2004 batch, and Monica Sharma, IRS 2003 batch, while Narang is heading all investigations of the central regions besides the Special Task Force. Kumar is assisting the director as staff officer and in charge of ED's western region. Sharma is overseeing the headquarters investigation unit. The agency has at least 7 officers in the rank of special director, each with key responsibilities entrusted to them. Now, these special directors have been handling important cases of politically exposed persons for a considerable time and will act against the disruptive effect of Mishra's departure. So there is an interim team that is already in place. Let's not forget that.
Well, also they have given out a very interesting article in the Hindustan Times where they say that longest serving ED chief whose tenure added teeth to the agencies. Interestingly enough, this is what they say, that while opposition parties allege that ED has targeted them during the stint to help the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, around 100 opposition leaders have been arrested in ED cases in these 56 months. People close to him deny such claims, saying ED has investigated a range of cases from China-backed fintech firms to online gaming apps, from conmen such as Sukesh Chandrasekhar to builders who duped gullible buyers, from illegal sand mining mafia to fugitive businessmen, and from Naxals to terror funders. So I think Sanjay Mishra or Sanjay Kumar Mishra's legacy on ED is going to be huge when he exits from that particular role. And of course, it's going to be a huge shoes to fill in as well. And as you
this is what the Congress says, Varghese. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what the Congress is saying. Congress is saying probe all Enforcement Directorate actions after the 17th of November 2021.
No, that's politics, isn't it? That's politics. That is way what we call as politics, because at the end of the day, the question is you would try to portray a certain officer being loyal to one party or the other. And you know that very famous song that goes, O Fortuna Valet Luna, that's to say that fortune keeps, keep changing. It waxes and wanes like the moon. So this is also going to be when it comes to power is also going to wax and wane like the moon. So I think the opposition who are now in opposition parties might in fact be crying hoarse now, but when they are in power, they would do the same things that would make sure that some people or their opposition is on their toes. So I think we should just see this from as the agency continuing with its work rather than looking from politics. But since politics is also involved, we are discussing about it.
Well, an interim team is already in place. Who's going to be the next ED director? That's going to be the debate on most TV channels during the day today. 31st July is what the SC has set as the date for SK Mishra, the current ED director, Enforcement Directorate director, to demit his office. Let's take a look at the Trinamool Congress sweeping the West Bengal Panchayat polls. Varghese, very quickly, we'll just take you across the numbers of what happened yesterday. It is a Panchayat poll. It's a cyclic poll that happens right before the general, the Lok Sabha elections. And ever since 2008, when Mamata Banerjee entered the fray, pulling down the left in the state of West Bengal, fought with the Congress in 2008, and ever since has climbed up. And well, we all know who Mamata Banerjee today is. At the moment, the only woman sitting chief minister, in constant tussles with the governor, in constant tussles with the center as well, but has not been able to make it big outside of West Bengal. But inside West Bengal, even with the bloodshed, even with the violence, even with the corrupt practices that were taking place, the ballot bomb, if I could call it, TMC, Trinamool Congress, has again swept the West Bengal Panchayat polls. BJP gains a second, but this is a distant second. 2023 versus 2018, if I could just take you across the numbers, a total of 73,887 seats up for grabs. The results essentially meant that 71% of the votes went to the Trinamool Congress, 29% is where the counting is essentially remaining in these areas. 68% going to the Trinamool Congress, 6% to the BJP, and 80% to the Trinamool Congress in 2018, and 3.1% to the BJP. So the BJP has actually made some sort of gains in West Bengal. What are you picking up from how this Congress CPM alliance hopes of doing well in Murshidabad and Malda were completely dashed? The Trinamool was, it swept away those polls. But more importantly, Nandigram, constantly happens to be a sore thumb for Mamata Banerjee, because Nandigram again, the Trinamool Congress lost. On the other hand, I was reading, where was I reading that particular portion? Maybe it was in the Times of India, where yet again, for, well, God knows how long, you have an 88-year-old who's won the Bengal Panchayat polls yet again. For Gopal Nandi, age is just a number, and winning in Panchayat polls, well, just a habit. All of 88 years and probably the oldest candidate in West Bengal's rural election fray, Nandi romped home again on Tuesday. The Trinamool candidate from Nandanpur Gram Panchayat under West Midnapur's Daspur I block defeated his nearest rival. Well, that's the story, and it goes on. But the overall picture, Varghese, very quickly, what's your take on the Trinamool Congress?
The Hindustan Times said their results reflect what will happen till 10 p.m. in the night yesterday. So what they are saying is this: in all of the 63,229 panchayat seats, elections were held to 63,219 seats. Till 10 p.m. results for 45,526 seats were declared, with the TMC winning 29,665 and the BJP 8,021 seats. The counting will be completed on Wednesday, and SEC officials say. So right now we look that they have a massive lead when it comes to the elections. And also, Kabir, this particular election, you saw Mamata Banerjee going ahead, and they were she was in fact campaigning on the ground like it was a state assembly election or even a Lok Sabha election. She was chopper hopping from one place to the other. This was supposed to set the tone for 2024, and that is why you had Mamata Banerjee hitting the ground as well. Now, of course, the big question is about the violence that happened. This, in fact, looks like the police action being taken at in Diamond Harbour area. But there have been several instances of violence. There have been reports of booth capturing. There has been reports of group clashes between
in Diamond Harbour. Bombs were hurled. Country bombs were hurled. Take a look at that. I mean, we've had to distort the color here because, I mean, there was a lot of blood that was, well spilled. And 18 people lost their lives on the day of polling.
That is also a big concern, because and then you had the central forces also deployed during these elections, and we did see that in counting centers there have been several instances of where the police or the security forces had to go for a lathi charge against people who were creating disturbances. But the fact remains is that she is in control on the ground no matter what. And we did see that West Bengal governor also hitting the road, trying to speak with people who are voting, trying to also say that when it comes to violence in West Bengal is just unacceptable. unacceptable. He also met Amit Shah and gave him a report of the violence that was happening in Bengal. He had come to Delhi and also met him. Ananda Bose had said that he's concerned with the kind of violence that's happening.
He submitted a proper pro-violence report, and that's not all. That is something that has irked Mamata Banerjee as well. She's come out and said time and again that C.V. Ananda Bose should not behave like a politician. He's a governor.
Another governor versus chief minister kind of a situation emerging in another state of the country. But the trends in fact show that the TMC is in control. They are in control of Bengal. And if these are the results that we can project when it comes to 2024, it's going to be quite interesting, because this shows, let us see the entire results coming in today. But then it just shows that the TMC has kept its grassroots base intact. So it is going to be interesting to see how it is going to work out in 2024 with these election results. But then there are a lot of local factors that are at play when it comes to these elections. We are talking about the violence factor, we are talking about the local political factors, the regional factors that are also in play. So but still, if we can do a rough kind of a projection, it shows that the TMC is in hold when it comes to the elections in West Bengal. And with Mamata hitting the ground, it has given them the early campaign kind of a situation for 2024. Remember, the BJP did extraordinary well in West Bengal in the last parliamentary elections. So this
18 out of the possible 40 plus odd seats.
Yes, so this time we are going to in fact see, and I remember during that victory speech it was happening in West Bengal, especially when Amit Shah had come in the open, and he had said that Bengal mein, it was very piercing, that, so which showed that BJP wanted to in fact make some kind of a dent in Bengal. So I'm going to find out, let me see the results happening. I want to actually find out how it is working on the assembly seats and from the assembly seats when it comes to the parliamentary seats. And Bengal also has got 40 plus parliamentary seats, and that is why it is a very important state as well.
But all right, we're going to quickly move on. There was something really tragic that happened yesterday. Before we move on to Manipur, I just wanted to show the viewers, that entire bus accident that people were already talking about, how that bus
the video had gone viral.
Drove on for 8 kilometers on the wrong side. There was no stopping that bus. The family was headed for Raj Temple. It was a TUV with 8 people that left Meerut for Rajasthan Temple in the morning. The bus refueled in Ghazipur, and the driver drove for 8 kilometers on the wrong side on the Delhi to Meerut highway. PS Chaudhary Tours and Travels bus was on its way to Delhi but missed a turn. Now the vehicles collided head-on near crossings at 6 a.m. Now the TUV had 8 people driving on the right side, were going to visit the temple. This PS Chaudhary and Tours and Travels, his bus was on its way to Delhi, but it missed a turn. And so, well, who's going to take the U-turn? That's such a task.
So, but that doesn't mean that you go ahead and
take a look at
drive
the
it.
destruction this particular small mistake has caused. This family of 6, no more.
And all because you didn't have traffic sense over here.
On the Delhi-Meerut Expressway, windows of the mangled SUV cut open to extract occupants. That's the horror. And there was no stopping that bus that drove 8 kilometers on the wrong side. And it says here, with not enough cops, it's free for all on the expressway. Should we bring back traffic rules, traffic sentiment?
I mean, this is basic traffic sense. You don't go on the wrong way, this thing. And this is the entire responsibility lies on that driver who just decided to go wrong, completely, against traffic rules and on the wrong way on a busy highway. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. This could have been easily avoided.
Well, take a look at this as well. On the bottom half, you've got a little, a table that's given on the bottom half. And the table over here, it says wrong side driving is the biggest killer on Indian roads. A comparison for all of you to take a look at since 2017 to 2021. Wrong side driving is the second biggest killer. And right above it, it is an article that says that showcases how the family was about to move to a newer house. The relatives have come out. I mean, it's just tragic.
Kabir, and you know what is more tragic about this? It is that wrong side driving is a choice. It is a choice that is being made by people, and when it becomes the second most reason for the number of accidents that happen, it's a choice that is done by people that has resulted in this tragic kind of accident that has happened. So wrong side driving is a choice, and the person who's made that choice needs to be pulled up.
Well, certainly. I mean,
or people who think of making that choice.
The most appalling part is that there was nobody stopping that particular bus, and that family on an auspicious occasion, with all the purity in their hearts, were heading towards a temple in Rajasthan. But, well, it seems like God had other plans. In Manipur, focusing on Manipur, because every day we must talk a little bit about Manipur, we should make sure that it still remains relevant and in the mainstream.
Because Manipur will always be relevant.
It is burning.
It is burning, and we are, before we go, we have to also say, Kabir, that we are always pushing for peace. We are trying to bring in all the factors that are responsible, and at News9 we've been always pushing for peace in Manipur, and hope that peace prevails in Manipur as fast as possible. Because when it comes to Manipur, that I mean, there is nothing we can actually say other than the fact that we have to come to the talking table. We have to have talks over there. Kabir, you were in fact trying to...
so the Supreme Court, on Manipur has already come and said that army is under civilian control and can't breach that rule for Manipur. But a bigger problem right now, Varghese, it seems, is that there are looted weapons with the people. We've seen quadcopters being used, and we've seen indiscriminate firing. But the sophistication of the weapons that they have
Can you just read? I think you have that report with you on that, this thing. It is interesting to see that in that report, they were speaking about LMGs. They were speaking about light machine guns. And they were speaking about mortars as well. So, this is the kind of weaponry that is in circulation, Kabir. And I think you have that report with you. Just can you read some of those excerpts from there? I just saw that report and I was actually shocked because the kind of...
It's a Times of India scoop, it seems like. I'm reading it from the Times of India. It says, light machine guns, mortars, arsenal of looted weapons still untraced in Manipur. Important note here, still untraced. Now, just 1,000 out of the 4,000 arms have been recovered. Weapons that were looted from armories include INSAS rifles, .303 rifles, 9mm pistols, carbines, Kalashnikov rifles, which are the AKs, Excalibur rifles and MP5s, mortars and light machine guns. That's the slew of and the range of weapons, the sophistication of weapons that were looted. Just 1,000 out of the 4,000 arms have been recovered. Telescopes for rifles, night vision binoculars, bayonets, bulletproof helmets, tear gas guns and shells, along with stun grenades and anti-riot guns. These were also looted from these armories. Now the mobs stormed the Directorate of Forensic Sciences, Manipur, vandalized it and looted arms and ammunition kept there as evidence related to court cases. So all those court cases, evidence from that has also been taken away. Just about a quarter of the 4,000 plus weapons that were looted in over 2 months have been recovered so far, despite repeated appeals by the politicians. So, I mean, this is proper gaming PUBG-like scenario. I mean, you've got telescopes, you've got night vision glasses.
Look at the kind of sophistication. You're talking about a huge armory of weapons, which technically is a war cache that we are looking at. And being in the hands of the feuding parties is the most biggest concern because, when you have sophisticated weapons like a light machine gun or you have a sophisticated weapon like...
It's a war-like arsenal.
That's what it is. It's a war-like arsenal. It's a war cache that we are talking about. And you have night goggles also. I think that's what you read out. There were night goggles and there are carbines as well. And then Kalashnikovs are there. So it is kind of heavy weapon that we are looking at in the hands of feuding parties in Manipur. So remember from the time we've been speaking of on Manipur, I've been saying that the first thing that any government should do is to ensure that the weapons are completely out of hands of the people. Completely it should be out of hands of the people. And that is the reason why we need to ensure that there is some kind of peace talks only after the weapons are back. Because see, when the feuding parties are in hold of such weapons, they use it to disrupt even the possibility or even scare people who want to come to the table. So first, the weapons should go out of circulation, and this includes any sort of hunting rifles that are there with people also. We must ensure that these things just fall back. It shouldn't be in the hands of the people at all. See, also, the Protect Lives in Manipur Act on Suggestions is what the SE has in fact said on Manipur. The top court statement came as it heard an array of pleas demanding a spate of orders ranging from investigation into the ethnic clashes which has overrun the states, as well as its by claiming around 150 lives now, to ordering deployment of additional security forces. So, turning down the plea, the court said in the order, maintenance of law and order and preservation of security state falls in the executive domain. We are conscious that it won't be proper for this court to exercise of judicial function to pass specific orders on deployment of army and paramilitary forces. So, in the plea, they were talking about some kind of deployment in areas in Manipur that would or possibility in their assessment would be targeted. So the court said that it cannot do that. It is within the ambit of the state government and the executive wing of the government. So
different FIRs on arms loot, Varghese, have the same story to tell. Almost every variant of sophisticated weapons supplied by Indian ordnance factories to the state armed forces was part of the loot now being used to keep Manipur on the boil. The AMOG, meaning unerring carbine, the AMOG carbine, for instance, is a select fire personal defense weapon designed and manufactured by the Ordnance Factories Board. The Excalibur rifle derives its genes from the Insas rifle, also an indigenously developed and manufactured weapon. The Ghatak assault rifle was designed specifically for counter-insurgency operations. FIRs registered at different police stations regarding each of the mob raids on armories mentioned the same sequence of events. Several thousand rioters outnumbering security personnel at each of these locations and walking away with the weapons. This is what all FIRs have to say. This is the pattern.
Look at the
Apart from the arms, the mobs also looted daylight telescopes for Insas rifles, passive night vision binoculars, bayonets, bulletproof helmets, tear gas and shells. The largest loot took place on the 28th of May at the headquarters of the 8th India Reserve Battalion at Khabesoi in Imphal East District. Punsiba Kabrabam, the inspector adjutant of the battalion, states in his FIR that a mob of around 10,000 people armed with weapons, catapults and iron rods surrounded the battalion headquarters and attacked the personnel. The rioters carried on undaunted.
Well, if you look at the kind of weapons that have, look at the irony of it, it's all Ordnance Factory Board weapons. The Excaliburs, the AMOG carbines, and also they would have looted the ammunitions for it, and then they are in possession of mortars, which would result in, area dominance kind of an exercise. So, the sophistication of these OFB weapons also speak to the fact that it is not going to be a very easy task to get these weapons back.
Exactly. How do you make sure that these weapons come back?
I mean, there is only two options. The security forces have to be alert, and wherever they can lay their hands on these weapons, they should confiscate it and get it back to the armory. They should keep sweeping and doing combo operations to recover arms and ammunitions from various stakeholders and feuding mobs. A lot of people are going to hide these weapons. You should have your human intelligence at work on the ground, where your human intelligence should be telling us where the large cache of weapons are being used. Because this is no longer a riot kind of a situation we are looking at. They are using weapons, these looted weapons that are very sophisticated. They're using, even as you were pointing out, and there were reports coming in, they were using quadcopters. So it's become more complicated, and it has become
proper warlike setting.
It's a proper warlike setup that we are looking at. So I just hope the security forces are able to take up the challenge. They would take up this challenge, but then again, I mean, there's so much happening in Manipur at the moment. There is the peace effort that is on the ground, and then you have these challenging situations.
To people joining us in the broadcast, we understand that we're talking about Manipur as we know it, sitting here in the studio. Job here is to tell the people, tell the world what's really happening, what's at our disposal, and set the facts out there, not to get into the nitty-gritties, and of course making sure that peace is paramount. Of course, I don't want to use the word peace or prioritizing peace so loosely now. We're looking at 100 days of this particular, boiling of the tenure state of Manipur. Let's only hope that good sense prevails. But the fact remains that out of the 4,000 plus weapons that were looted, nearly a quarter has been returned. And politicians are constantly appealing, and I'm sure the plight of the people on the ground is also going to be similar. Varghese, let's also take a look at the rain toll in North, which has risen up to 91 people, 91 deaths because of rainfall, torrential rainfall that battered North India. Talk about Jammu and Kashmir, talk about Punjab, talk about areas in the national capital, Haryana, and the mountainous and hilly regions of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. We saw so many of those visuals, houses falling apart, poles being washed away, cars and trucks in huge numbers going for a big swim. And what that has left for us to see is the drone footage that is telling you right now, even as the water is still receding, look at the damage that it has done towards the left side of the shore. You can almost see how that concrete like sludge and that you were talking about, Varghese, landslides, rock slides, boulders coming apart, houses falling down. People in the from the Met department were also sometimes at a loss of words. We're still expecting some rainfall, not extreme, moderate rainfall, but 21 people killed in just the last 24 hours, 8 of those due to falling rocks in Uttarakhand. So first it was the water, now it's the water's impact on soil, and now it's loosened it up, and it's all landslides and rockfalls. Take a look at that, Varghese.
Well, I'm just looking at the Tribune, which has been doing covering most of those. What they are saying is that the Indian Meteorological Department has ruled out major rainfall activity in the northern region over the next few days. It, however, predicted heavy rainfall in parts of Uttarakhand. Red alert has been issued, and Uttar Pradesh on July 12th and 13th. So this is what the IMD is saying. Meanwhile, rescue operations are happening in rain-battered Punjab. The rain finally abated in Punjab, leaving behind a trail of breached bunds, broken roads, and inundated fields and homes. The state also saw 8 deaths. The NDRF is still deploying in Rupnagar, SAS Nagar, Patiala, Fatehgarh Sahib, and Shahid Bhagat Singh Nagar for rescue efforts. Meanwhile, another shocking statistics coming in: 1.47 lakh acres of fields in Haryana has been inundated because of the rain. At 20 villages in Karnal, over 15,000 acres remain submerged. The army's help has been sought to plug 200 feet breach in a bund near Ghadbut Tapu village. So the water level at these places are unprecedented, is what they are saying. Meanwhile, in Himachal Pradesh, where these drone visuals reveal the kind of destruction that we are in fact seeing, this is the road has been just washed away.
Has stopped to exist. It's like the road was never there.
There at all, yes. I mean, the river just claimed that portion of that road. You can see how the river is now flowing in the area which was once a road. We can never tame nature at all. But in staying with Himachal Pradesh, another statistics that's coming in is that 40 shops, 30 houses have been swept away.
And this is after the initial estimate was being pegged at rupees 4,000 crore worth of losses in the mountainous state. The chopper operation to rescue 300 tourists in Himachal Pradesh has failed. In Uttarakhand, 8 were killed, all by crashing boulders as rain activity shifts to the state. Landslides block Badrinath, Gangotri and Yamunotri highways. In Punjab, flood situation is grim in Ropar, Patiala, Fatehgarh Sahib and Mohali. Cane fields have been completely inundated. There's major loss to farmers in Gurdaspur especially. Fresh alert in Fazilka after water was released in Satluj. There have been 3 more deaths in Punjab. Looking at Himachal in the last 24 hours, rain relent, but 6 more deaths have been reported. An Indian Air Force chopper that was sent to airlift 300 tourists near the Chandratal excursion site that I was talking to you about, Varghese, was forced to turn back amid bad weather. What I told you, so in Chandratal, we've got some 300 tourists still stuck up there, and it's not snowing there, thankfully. But if the weather gets inclement, it does get problematic. We're talking about 13,000 feet above the sea level. 314 still stranded. However, the worst part is that 4 people are missing out of that particular group of people at Chandratal. In Uttar Pradesh, ladies and gentlemen, Agra and Prayagraj are on flood alert as further rise in Yamuna and Ganga levels is expected. 3 more have died in the state. Taking a look at the national capital, these are visuals of the Yamuna. The flood hit in Delhi huddles under flyovers. Even as the rain relent has pretty much stopped, you can see that still places are inundated. There is still water filled up in several places, but people have now come out and given a warning. The villagers have given a warning because the Yamuna is flowing just 2 meters below the danger mark at this point in time. Varghese.
Also, another issue that has come up with this is the aftermath, the dealing with the aftermath, because we are looking at huge crop losses, we are looking at property losses as well, and we have only figures coming in from, estimated figures coming in from Himachal Pradesh. We have to see the situation in Uttarakhand, Punjab and Delhi as well. So, I think rain is going to be one of the focal point in the next 2-3 days as well.
And how the administration now looks up, towards tackling and battling these kind of situations next time around, the sewage problems, that's going to be a bigger challenge. And next time around, at least in the national capital, the Delhi government is not going to be let off the hook so easily.
Well, anything else that we are looking at,
and
Kabir, especially
we also have a reaction coming from the Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister.
Okay, let's
quickly look at it and move on.
मैं कुल्लू आया हूँ। स्थिति में बहुत सुधार हुआ है। हमने तकरीबन 2,500 गाड़ियां ओट से निकाली है। अभी रात के 10 बजे हैं। मैं खुद डीसी ऑफिस में बैठा हूं। 1,000 से ज्यादा गाड़ियां, अभी उसका एग्जैक्ट नंबर नहीं पता है, मनाली से निकल चुकी है। और आज रात मुझे लगता है कि 5,000 गाड़ियों में से 3,000 गाड़ियां या 5,000 गाड़ियां रात को निकल जाएगी। अगर कोई टूरिस्ट मनाली रहना चाहता है और उसके बाद सुबह जाना चाहता है तो सुबह भी निकल जाएगी, क्योंकि हमने 1 वे ट्रैफिक कर दिया। मनाली जाने वाली सभी गाड़ियों को अभी रोका हुआ है और जो मनाली से आने वाली गाड़ियां हैं उनको हमने जाने की अनुमति दी है, क्योंकि जो मनाली जाएगी तो फिर जिस रास्ते से हम निकाल रहे हैं वहां सिर्फ सिंगल गाड़ी ही निकल सकती है। तो सबसे पहले हमें अपने पर्यटकों को सही स्थान पर उनके घर तक पहुंचाने का दायित्व है। पूरी सरकार के मंत्रिमंडल के सदस्य हर जिला में कार्य कर रहे हैं। हमारे जो रिहेबिलिटेशन के चेयरमैन है जगत नेगी जी, सुबह से थे, ये मंडी से आए। डीसीएम डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर हमारे सब सुबह से थे। हम लोगों को निकालने का काम है। हमने टारगेट रखा है सभी लोगों ने कि कल 4 बजे तक सभी पर्यटकों को, चाहे तीर्थन वैली में है, चाहे कसोल वैली में है, चाहे सैंज वैली में है, हम सबको निकाल देंगे। कल सबके रास्ते हम खोल देंगे।
Well, let's hope that the administration is able to carry out all that it has promised, because the people are in need of these, government agencies to come in and help them out. But the devastating, destruction that the rains have left behind is something that people will have to deal with. And again, calls out for that bigger question of how we're treating Mother Nature. Because it seems like this is just Mother Nature.
We can't just tame Mother Nature, and you can see how once was a road is now a river. The river claiming that portion completely.
Varghese, do you go to casinos? Do you gamble? Do you video game? Do you horse race? Are any of these your vices, Varghese?
None of them are my vices, but I think for those who have those vices have really bad news coming in from the GST front. I think you can give them that bad news.
This is Vice City, ladies and gentlemen. GST Council says 28% tax on online gaming, casinos and horse racing. The Goods and Surface Tax Council, in its 50th meeting on Tuesday, decided to levy a uniform 28% tax on full face value for online gaming, casinos and horse racing, while reducing the rate for uncooked, unfried snack pellets, cancer medicine and imitation zari thread. Now the meeting also clarified the rate for food and beverages sold inside multiplexes and the definition of all utility vehicles to bring parity for cess levy. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the intent was not to end any industry linked to online gaming, casinos or horse racing, but there was a discussion on the moral question of whether these should be taxed at the same rate as essential items. A logical argument coming from me, as far as I'm concerned, the tax would be levied on full value of bets or full value of consideration paid. Earlier, the ministerial panel on online gaming, casinos, horse racing had discussed the other option of levying tax on gross gaming revenue or platform fee, that is, the charge paid to avail the gaming services, but it did not find favor. Now, 28%, ladies and gentlemen, if you're an online gamer, people say that, online gamers make so much of money.
A lot of people say that they do make a lot
so much of money on
and
PUBG.
Online gaming has had a huge explosion in this country as well. We've seen advertisements coming in as well on online
after the
gaming.
COVID-19 pandemic, I think online gaming just simply took a boom.
Big time. But also there are exceptions that was made. Drugs to fight cancer. There are rare diseases. Satellite launch services by private firms. Very interesting.
The prices of which were dropped.
In fact,
the tax on which was.
Centre also allays concerns over ED sharing info with GST. So that also has been taken care of. But again, sedans of highest GST slab. Appellate tribunal by August 1st. Following opposition from Punjab and Tamil Nadu, the 50th meeting of GST Council held on Tuesday decided to exclude sedans from highest tax bracket of 28% GST and 22% cess. Okay, good news. As against 4 conditions for the imposing of 22% cess, the GST Council deleted the condition that they should be popularly known as SUVs. This, the government reasoned, would exclude sedans from the highest tax bracket. So, if you are looking for that sedan car, a little kind of some consolation there. But then, if you are that avid gamer, really
or you have the habit of, going to the casino, gamble, if you're an online gamer, if that's what you do for a living, well then, there is going to be 28% taxation on it. And it's not just that, horse racing as well.
But again, when we talk about sedans, we have one more thing, that GST shocker for multi-utility vehicles. All kinds of multi-utility vehicles, MUVs, with a length exceeding 4 meters, engine capacity of over 1500 cc and more than 170 millimeter ground clearance will become costlier. The 50th Goods and Service Tax Council decided on Tuesday, while clarifying that online, of course, we are talking about the online gaming. Now, they had briefed the media on this, and Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the scope of sports utility vehicles, SUVs, has been expanded to include MUVs as per the decision. Like SUVs, all kinds of MUVs or crossover utility vehicles, both uniquely Indian categories, would attract 22% compensation cess. Earlier, the levy on MUVs was 20%. Ground clearance would mean ground clearance in unladen condition, she said, adding that the sedans have not been clubbed in this category.
Are you buying a car soon? Are you buying a car soon?
Well, a lot of first-time people will be looking at, or a first-time person who would be looking at an SUV, he will have to make that big choice, because you had Hyundai also launching their latest SUV, or the entry variant of an SUV. But sedans, of course, which is the family car, and you have it being kept out of it, is good enough. MUV and SUVs, of course, tends to be following a little on the higher side of people in this country who would want to go for the next step. Well, for them, it is going to be taxable.
Well, all right. So everybody out there, you've got the economic expert giving you the latest details. Speaking about economics, we're running completely
I'm just talking from a middle class perspective.
Varghese, we're running completely out of time. 415 million people exited poverty. I'm talking about economics. 415 million people exited poverty in India in the last 15 years.
That is the MPI report you're talking about,
This is coming from a global index, the MPI report. 25 nations halved the global MPI values. India is one of the 25 nations that have successfully halved their global multidimensional poverty index values within 15 years. In India, the incidence of poverty fell from 55%, which is 645 million in 2005-2006, to 16%, which is just 230 million in the year 2019 to 2021. People in India who are multidimensionally poor and deprived under the nutrition indicator declined from 44% in the same year, which is 2005 to 6, to just 12% in 2019-2021. Those who are poor and deprived of cooking fuel declined from 53% to 14%, and in drinking water, those deprived fell from 16% to just 3%, and in housing from 44% to just 14%. So in 15 years, we have
statistically
really,
it's good.
415 million people have come out. Statistically, it's good, but was there a but coming?
I mean, statistically it is good, but how that statistics plays on the ground for me is the issue, because let's take the report for the saying, but then when you come to the narrative or the political narrative on the ground, of course we have parties talking about unemployment, the inability to be the entrepreneur you want to go. And yesterday we were even talking about how we were trying to push the EV market, and a lot of those subsidies have not yet come in. So
there's a lot more that still doesn't,
Yeah, but since we are looking from a 15-year point of view, that at least so many of them have come in.
It's a macro chunk.
It's a macro chunk that has
okay,
come
quickly,
in.
rate the news on 10.
It's complicated in the sense that I won't be able to give you a proper this thing, but I'm saying that it is a silver lining. But then,
all right, it is
a silver lining.
We'll leave it at that. It is a silver lining, ladies and gentlemen. 415 million people out of poverty, and that's all the time that I and Varghese have for you today. Many thanks to all those people who've joined us in the comment section. The idea is to break away from the newsroom walls and let you enter so that we can deliver what you exactly want. That's all the time we have for you. A lot of other debates that are going to take shape during the day today. South Indian focus towards the afternoon, global news later in the evening, and to the point, the biggest news story of the day at 7 p.m. today. That's all the time. Keep watching Newsnight Live.
GPT. It can generate codes and human-like responses through text, write stories, and do a lot more.
I work in a newsroom with anchors, researchers and scriptwriters, graphic artists, producers, video editors, camera crew. But does a newsroom really need them today?
All of us have to think about unique and distinctive value addition